out of state. If it's true, can we bring it back to Maryland, and how does the city members running for office feel about bringing that money back into the state rather than having it sit in another state?
I don't think it makes any difference where the money is. It needs to be where it's going to get the best interest rate and return on the investment. And really, like when they built the $6 million man, we have the technology. The money doesn't need to be in our backyard. And the fact of the matter is, if you went to community bank and all of our money was supposedly at community bank, you couldn't get it. It's virtual money. So it really makes no difference whether it's in New Mexico or Montana or here or Florida or the Cayman Islands. Really, it makes no difference.
With the way technology is nowadays, everything is basically done electronically. So it doesn't matter whether it's kept in Maryland bank or, like you said, New Mexico or Montana. It all depends on the best, the best return on the investment.
Well, the ROI, the return on investment, is always important, but you need to consider a couple of factors. You need to consider the access to that money, even though it is virtual. I've been reading complaints about people can't even pay their bill. They can't get online to pay their bill because it's through mutual loan law. That is an issue. That should be looked at. But money, no matter where you put it, no matter what bank you put it in, no matter what state you put it in, it's virtual money. It's always going to be there. Nobody can really touch it from outside of the banking system itself. So I'm not really sure what the point of the question was, but I do know that with money being money, I don't see a point in trying to change the state that it's in simply to bring it back to Maryland.
I think we have a consensus here. We all feel the same way. We need the best return on investment, and mentioning about the building process. That's one of my concerns and also interests, in the fact that automation issue. We seem to have outsourced a lot of chunks of the administrative job, and one of which is payments, the billing, whether it's the newsletter. There's all sorts of things. I know some of the things are bundled together, and it'd be interesting, and I think fiscally responsible to take a look at that. What are we getting the best bang for our buck? What is the bank? What are we paying for contracting out for different parts of the job? Is it something we can do better in-house, cheaper? Maybe it's not Omaha, maybe it's another city or another organization. I also think we need to join in with other homeowners associations to find out, we're not the first people that have homeowners, we're the biggest one in Southern Maryland, and we don't belong to any homeowners association. And certainly, working on a professional life, you always join whatever job you got. You went to that, your peers, to find out what was the best practices, do they have better ideas, do they have different software, do they have other solutions that would help us instead of us reinventing it every time, and or being stuck with a product that's 20 years old and way past its prime. So yes, I would keep it where it saves money, but you also want the technology to work better for us.
Okay. Do you think it's fair that a ballot or proposal has been published in the rut telling us the plans? Let me ask the whole question that this person wrote in. Candidate Haskell put a ballot question for allowing revetment of cliffs on CRE property. Do you think it's fair that Ms. Haskell has not published a contractor's proposal in the rut telling us the plan in advance of the vote? Will it be done by a bulldozer? Are the rocks coming by way of our roads or by a barge on the water? We aren't told how much damage the vehicles will do to the beach and the cliffs for doing this. So the question, I guess the question is do you think it's fair that we have a budget or a resolution on the ballot for I guess they're referring to resolution number 3, without putting in the RUD any information about this, as to how it's going to be done, in other words.
Again, it's private property. As long as they get their permits through the local, state, and federal government. I'm still not sure why the ballot was even included, but I guess when you have a ballot item, you want to have a little bit of extra background information so that others can make sense of what the ballot is.
How about we rescind that question and hold
Yeah,
on?
Okay.
Yeah, let's rescind that because I'm not really sure what they mean anyway. So let me ask you their next question instead. Do you think the cliff dwellers should pay CRE for damage to our roads and our beaches by the transportation of equipment and rocks to build their revetments? How's that?
I'll use my experience as an engineer. Normally, when you do any kind of construction, if there's damage to the roadway, that the roadway has to be restored to the condition that it was prior to the beginning of any construction. So hopefully, any contracts that are placed for the construction of the revetment, there's a built-in cost to restore the roadways. That's done in every situation I've ever done, whether it was county road, in this instance, it would be a CRE road. You always have to make sure that the roads are still in the same condition as prior to construction.
The bottom line is no. That should be the bottom line. Again, with every contract, Zane hit it right on the head. With every contract, there is a clause, or if not, there better be a clause, that the roads will be restored to the state that they were in prior to any revetment being done. That should be part of the contract. Now, the revetment itself is not to say that there's going to be trucks coming in there. The revetment, it could be barges coming up the shoreline. We don't know. There's all kinds of proposals out there. The Army Corps of Engineers is looking at it a lot right now. There's supposed to be a study, correct me if I'm wrong, there's supposed to be something coming back from them in July. This month. With a conclusion on what's the best thing to do for these folks. To keep their houses from falling in the cliff, in other words, to give them a revetment. So, but the bottom line to that question is no. It should not be included in our fees. We should not be responsible for what they do to the roads, if that is the route that these revetments are going to be done with. If it's done with the sea coming in from the bay, what type of damage is it going to do to the beach? Again, that is not our responsibility. We should not have to pay for that.
Ditto. Very well said. I think that's why we need to get a detailed proposal in, to see exactly what the proposal is, and sort of from the contract perspective. You know, we have a bond put up, and we're running the project to protect our property, the rest of the common property, not just their property. I think also the fact that this is such a contentious issue, that when this school report is released, we should upload that to the website as many places as possible. People can read about it, bring it up to future board meetings and the membership meetings so people can see the plans, ask the pros and cons. I think one of the problems we're having these kind of like one-sided arguments without having everybody in the room at the same time to hear the pluses and the minuses of it to actually come to an informed decision. Bottom line, I think we all want is the best for the whole community. That's going to protect all of our properties.
Again, I guess the consensus is that, that we shouldn't be, they shouldn't be responsible for reimbursing us for any damage. It's got to be part of a contractor's agreement with the individual homeowners that are arranging for the revetments. If I could just for 1 second talk about the fact that there was a ballot resolution put in there Ginger had 100 signatures, and as one of the bylaws, I'm not up on whether it's a bylaw or a covenant, but with 100 signatures, you are anyone, any one of you is allowed to put a ballot issue in the newsletter. Well, you are. Thank you very much.
Are the candidates in favor, are any of the candidates in favor of implementing any new one-time fees to cover fiscal shortfall of any current or future budget? And do any of you feel that working towards a municipality government for CRE would be a better option?
We've had these one-time fees hitting us. I've been here again for 10 years. We've had these one-time fees hitting us quite often. Personally, I'm fed up with it. I see we get a $5 fee for this. We have to do $25 for this. And the majority of it, if you look at the big picture, it's because of the risk we didn't include because of the delinquencies. If we didn't include the risk for the delinquencies, it would be a lot lower than it is, and we wouldn't have to pay this $25. Because of the delinquencies is the reason why they're asking us to pay this $25. Do we need to go to a municipality? That's a very touchy question. The reason I say it's touchy is because it's going to take a lot of money. And $25 per homeowner won't cut it to get these roads in shape for it to be part of a municipality. That said, there's a lot of people out there that would love to see the county take these roads over. It's a really good idea to do that, but it's going to be very expensive to do that, and I'm not sure everybody really understands that. There are certain rules that the county has to follow before they'll take a road over. Not to say they won't be able to take a lot of the secondary and tertiary roads over right away, but these main roads, for instance, Gunsmoke Trail, they'll never touch that. That's too close. There's too much that can happen on that road for the county to take the risk of taking that over, and the first kid that rides down his skateboard down the road and gets hit, the county is going to get sued. So that, there's a trade-off there. Again, it's a touchy issue, and I'm not sure that I would vote either way right now until I heard everything that everybody really has to say about it. And I think that's something that should be brought up again in another type of meeting, not particularly this one.
So I can't say they would never vote for anything because you don't know what circumstances are coming up or what catastrophe might happen. We could have a hurricane, that takes out the admin building or this building or all the buildings. So cannot categorically say no, you would never vote for one time only. I do think the one time only is a difficult way to manage. We've been stuck with doing it that way because of the difficulty getting people to actually to agree to increase our fees in general, which are still very low. I think part of the problem is communication is that people don't actually see where the money goes. They also I don't think there's a real great sense of confidence that we're spending our money well, even though we may be spending it perfectly as frugally as we could have in the past year or so. We have a lot of past baggage. So it could be something that somebody spent 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and there's still a lot of resentment about that. And I guess distrust of how we're spending money. So I think the bottom line, one, we have to restore trust and transparency and give people feel comfortable that yes, we're going to be spending the money wisely. If there are ways to either save money, reduce delinquency fees, whatever we can do there, then yes, we should do that. Again, we won't get to zero. It would be nice to get below the 10% or some lower number. I still think over the future, though, I think the amount that we're paying is actually a bargain. I said that in a public hearing, and I say that anybody, I have people that are paying in 1 month what we pay in 1 year for their membership fees. Not that I think we should get anywhere near that level, but when you look at cost of living, how much expenses have gone up in the past 20 years, I've been here since 1988. The fees have only gone up very, very minutely since then. Expensive, all expenses have skyrocketed since then.
Well said. Many of you know that I've been in favor of fee increases in the past. I'm not in favor of any more one-time $25 fee increases. I don't think that's going to get us where we need to be, and I think it's impractical to think that in 3 years we won't need another fee increase. The fee increase that I proposed several years ago was a prorated cost of living increase based on the fact that we've not paid any cost of living increases between the time that the reserve budget was set up in 1998, and when we were finally able to get a cost of living increase on our yearly fees in, I believe it was 2012. And that's a big space of time to not have had any increases in our fees. And what I had proposed at the time was $89, and then from that point on, COLA increases on the adjusted fee. I think that would get us where we need to be, but these one-time fees are not going to do it, and I'm not going to support them anymore. As far as the municipality goes, that takes several years, a lot of meetings, and a lot of people involved, and I know that the people in this room are interested, but, where are your neighbors? We need to get, thousands of people involved in the municipality. There's a lot of things to consider. What it's going to encompass, what our tax base is going to be, how we want to manage it. There's a lot of issues with the municipality. The first thing is a master plan. So there you have it.
I think I'm going to have to agree with Sean on the one-time fees. It sounds like the one-time fee is just to make up for the delinquencies, which is what is in the tradition. So I think we need to do a better job of the delinquent accounts out there. And maybe we need to take a look at the fees that we pay. With anything, any kind of local government or quasi-government, your services go up. So sometimes your fees have to go up accordingly. So that's something we can look at. I'm not saying we should raise fees, but maybe we can manage what we collect better. Who knows? As far as the municipality, I've seen a couple of studies that were done, but I'm just concerned that with the municipality, what staff you have to hire, what services you have to pay for, with some, and it's not like a whole cafeteria menu where we can pick and choose what services we want to pay for and what services the county will still take care of, because we may not have that option. The county may say, you want to reach a municipality, you have your own services, your own public works, your own fire and rescue, your own police department. We don't know, but that was something we had to look into. And so that kind of concerned me. So I'm not sure if I'm for the municipality without seeing what it would cost each homeowner per year in taxes. I have a feeling it would be higher than we pay now. And as far as the taxes, as far as the roads, the county probably won't take over many of the roads because they don't meet the road standards.
This is a question for everybody. How will you all work to improve the trust concerning the transparency with our board of directors?
Which one should we start with?
I guess we'll start with,
Okay. I think I've seen a lot of mistrust, and I see a lot of vitriol on Facebook and other social media where someone cannot ask a question without being berated or put down. So I think we need to remember, above all, we're neighbors. We're neighbors above all else. If someone has an opinion or a question, let's answer the question, or offer your own opinion, but if you disagree, we disagree, but there's a lot of, back and forth with name, not necessarily name calling, but just the attitude that's not enabling. As far as the dealing with the board and the members, I think we need to work together and just remember that we are neighbors. Let's try to, if you see something being done out in the street, don't assume that the board is doing something behind your back. Let's make a phone call and say, I noticed such and such is happening. Why is it happening? Let's ask the questions, and then hopefully the new board will be more professional and more civil and answer the question if they know the answer. If they don't know the answer, the correct response should be, I don't know at this time, but I will get back to you within a day or two with the answer. I think we need to get back to being neighbors and not just friction between the board and the members.
Let me get back to that last question. Everybody understands that, why I said no was because it's not just a one-time $25 fee we're talking about here. It's a one-time $25 fee for years. Okay? That's why I said no. Regarding the question, the current question, I've been to a few meetings. I've been involved in a couple of committees. And there is a lot of distrust, not only within the committee, but within the community. We can go all the way back to 1989, when the distrust started. We don't want to go there. Let's bring it forward and find out how we can fix that distrust. Well, there's maybe a couple of people in here that can help do that right away by organizing things a little differently, by involving the community a little differently, by posting things a little differently. When we first got here, my wife and my family first got here 10 years ago, there was really no communication. None. You were either on the board or you saw nothing. If the board did something, you didn't know about it, you didn't know what was happening. That is the problem, and that is where the mistrust starts. And it still continues now. I see a lot of it out there. And the only way to reduce that transparency is to get the word out. How are we going to get the word out? Through information technology, through community involvement. There's all kinds of new ways that previous boards haven't used as much as they should have. And I think that's the way to get the word out before a board meeting happens. Virginia touched on it in her speech. Let's get the word out to people before the board makes a decision. That's one of the prime examples that she used, and I agree with her on that, even though she's my opponent. I agree with her on that. There are lots of other ways that it can be handled where the community is involved before a decision is made. And that is up to, some of these people that may be in the new board, some of these people that may be the vice president, even Travis. To figure out ways to get the word out there to you folks and to everybody that isn't here.
So the whole transparency, even if we're not a municipality, and I would go to that, whether we should look at them or not, I think we need to act like we are one as far as kind of like common rules. And so one of them is in fact publishing an agenda ahead of time, having it available ahead of time, having minutes posted. The fact that Jeff wrote and was working here getting this forum posted online. We may have, I don't think we'll have, a Bible posting here, that we'll have millions of people looking at it, but it is a way to try to get out when people can't be here. So that's an example. Much information is possible, so whether it's the treasurer's perspective, a lot of the finance stuff, they actually come to the meeting and the staff that's this thick, and most people, one, don't come to the meeting, but if they do, they're going to fall asleep reading that package. And so a lot of that can be available online. It's not top secret. It should be considered public record, even if we're not a municipality. I think the past board has in fact done a great job of trying to get more communication out. We run into some obstacles, such as, for instance, our website is not too friendly. We try to put links on there, put documents on there. It's been very difficult. So anything we can do there to help people, any method that they use to get information, So whether it's the internet, whether it's paper, whether it's coming to meetings, whether it's something more in our welcome packages to new folks, whether it's neighborhood watch going out there doing door-to-door, knocking on doors, asking people to join. We do need to get more involved. 4,700 houses, or 600 when I started here in 1988. Most of us do not know our neighbors, and I think it's one of the big problems. We feel very disconnected, very untrusting, and we have to reestablish that.
Yeah, well said. We need to learn to trust our neighbors, and we need to have better communication. In defense of some of the boards, I will say that I don't believe that anything has been hidden intentionally. It's just the fact that there is not free-flowing communication about everything that happens. What has happened with a lot of the boards is they've operated more on the day-to-day business rather than where they needed to be, just setting policy. There's many things that happen at the board table that didn't need to get that far. We have a competent general manager, and the office has office hours where anyone can go in there and read minutes from the meetings or look at the financials, ask any question. It doesn't necessarily have to be a question of a board member. Board members don't hide anything. There's no secret agenda here. You need to learn to trust your neighbors. You need to get, encourage your neighbors to come to meetings and find out what's going on. This is going to, I don't know. People need to come out and get more involved, and that's going to help more than anything